Welcome to this introductory video on our course ST3 on probability, including Bayesian probability. So in this course, what the different videos will cover include this video on the logistics, the resources, times, and aims of the course, before we go on to the more advanced topics within the course itself. Remember, this course will run at the end of June, with labs on the Tuesday and Thursday afternoon in the Plowright Conference Centre. And then you have time before, in between those labs, and then afterwards to look at the material at your own pace. In this course, what we'll cover is basic ideas in probability applied to biological problems where possible, and then we'll also look at the context of Bayesian probability in biology. We'll also look at things like different types of statistical distributions, sets, and how to think about how we can visualize problems to solve them in probability. And we'll also touch on conditional probability briefly. The second half of the course will focus on Bayesian probability and focus on concepts like space, factors, and how to develop models that you can apply to biological problems. That means by the end of this course, you'll be able to define different models of probability, such as the binomial model, and then apply Bayesian approaches to biological systems. You can note that this module is somewhat aligned with an existing module at the University of Surrey. There's extensive resources as well that you can read about. Some of which are, like these ones, are quite general and especially point you towards the points of significance nature collection. There's an introductory textbook as well on statistics in the OpenStax library that's free to use, and that's got a more basic one. There's a variety of online reference books like StatsRef and Hyperstat Online and so on. And then there's more specific things on what we're covering here on things like binomial distributions, coding with R for Bayesian statistics, the StatsRef part on Bayesian probability, how to calculate conditional probability, and articles on Bayesian statistics, as well as those on Bayesian theorem and Bayesian statistics in Nature Methods from some time ago. So please dip in and out of these as you see fit. Like all these modules, what we're talking about in this module is thinking about how we can convert data into useful information depending on what model we're using and how that estimates the uncertainty associated with certain data set and models given a certain sense of assumptions. And you'll note that we're applying this to a particular context that might be quite variable among your different research interests. What we want to do is really tell a story with the data to explain what is going on. And what we're thinking about here, and what's especially important, is that we're going to learn R. So when we get to this stage that we've taught about our study in questions to collect data, we can visualize it, build an appropriate model, which is really important for Bayesian stats, and then develop that further as we better understand our data. So that's very important. So we're focused here in the kind of general steps of collecting, summarizing, and analyzing our data before we interpret it. Is this part of analysis and think about how we can summarize it better so that the analysis becomes more easy. What we'll be looking at is a variety of distributions. Typically, with parametric statistics, we're used to T distributions and normal distributions, whereas here, we'll be looking at ones like binomial distributions, beta binomial ones, gamma distributions, uniform distributions, beta distributions, and what else do we have here? You could have ones like exponential, negative binomial as well. And you'll know that these are applied to particular areas of statistics. So we're used to the normal distribution, how that's applied to different areas, whereas the binomial, beta binomial, other ones like the Hopfield geometric that's related to this fertility trials and uniform distributions, negative binomials have a strong use in biology, particularly when trying to model a data that has no underlying distribution. So that's why these are important to understand how these work. And we can't assume that everything has some sort of normal distribution. It may not actually conform to that idea. So that's why we'll explore these different distributions using coin tossing experiments, things like dice, we can think about as well. And this will also link to a later course on enumerative data as well. So that's the end of this video. Please look at the next video for more on the terminology and concepts associated with statistics in this course.